What's your favorite Nintendo 64 game? Super Mario 64? Ocarina of Time? Smash Brothers? Banjo-Kazooie? Xena Warrior Princess? Well, probably not that one. But my personal favorite Nintendo 64 game is...
Wave Race!
Everyone probably knows by now, but Wave Race 64 is the second game out of 3, the first being on Game Boy simply titled Wave Race, and the third on GameCube, titled Wave Race Blue Storm. I've never played the original, and I didn't much care for Blue Storm, but Wave Race 64? Man, I love this game. I've actually been playing it since it was new. I remember playing it for the first time in a store kiosk in 1997 most likely. Then when emulators came around, it was one of the first games I booted up, and I've had it on Wii Virtual Console recently as well. I am, however, what you might call a casual player of this game. Although I can win the normal championship easily, I've never gotten far into the hard, and I never even tried expert. I am not ready for expert. As a result, I've never played the Glacier Coast stage except on emulator with some kind of cheat allowing me to get there, but that's fine. I play Wave Race 64 to have a good time, and the normal championship or even the warm-up at Dolphin Park does that job very, very well. I've driven a real jet ski twice in real life, and although it was a sit-down model and not a stand-up one like in the game, both times I incessantly whistled the Dolphin Park theme as loud as I could while riding. It was lovely. And lovely is a good word to use when describing Wave Race 64. It's just lovely to play. Bouncing off the waves, doing spins and barrel rolls and other tricks, and it's lovely to look at too. Although the water might look like the Photoshop plastic filter today, it looked amazing back then and still looks great as long as you set your eyes to 90s mode, which I for one is fully capable of doing. The music is just as lovely. It's honestly one of my favorite soundtracks ever. There isn't a bad track to be found. I guess if I had to, I would call the Glacier Coast theme a slightly weaker one. And a few of the tracks are just the main theme rearranged, but it's such a good theme, so why not? Drake Lake is so peaceful. Marine Fortress sounds like it belongs in a spy movie. Port Blue friggin' rocks. Twilight City sounds like a beach party. And of course, Dolphin Park I can listen to forever. Actually, racing is fun as hell. You can really feel the water as you ride, and having to slalom between buoys was actually a good idea because it forces you to learn how to make turns, and it would be pretty boring if it was too straight on. It's also really cool how the stages change a bit with each lap. For instance, in Drake Lake on the first lap there's a lot of mist, which some might call fog, but I call it mist. Because here it's a true graphical effect, and not just the N64's limitation used as an excuse. Anyway, by the third lap the mist has all but cleared, allowing you to see the whole area. And how about in Southern Ireland, where the water is kind of high on the first lap, so you go right over this boat. But then later the water is lower and you can jump over it. You can attempt anyway. Being able to customize the jet ski attributes is cool too, although I usually don't bother with it. The announcer voice might be annoying to some, but I like the guy. He's very excited to be working, it seems.
You finished first and got 7 points. Great race!
Besides championship racing, you also have the time attack and stunt mode, which are nice to have, especially the stunt mode. And personally, I would call the Dolphin Park warm-up its own mode almost. A tutorial, actually. The only thing I don't like about the game is what happens when you lose a championship. I'm not really a huge fan of having to have a certain amount of points to advance in general, but when you fail to amass said points either by not placing well enough or by retiring because of course out or missing too many buoys, your only two choices are quit and restart championship. That means from the start. Doesn't matter if you made it to the 2nd or 7th race. You screw up, you're going back. That's part of the reason I just chill with the normal mode for maximum fun. And other than in normal, a single mistake in a race can cost you dearly. Wave Race 64, did you know? Now, I've also got my hands on a Japanese strategy guide for the game that had a 4-some pages developer interview that I translated and extracted some nuggets of fact from. A link to the past, full article, can be found in the description. In this video I'll just present a few. But first a couple of observations that I made myself. First, the course names. The game has these 9 courses: Dolphin Park, Sunny Beach, Sunset Bay, Drake Lake, Marine Fortress, Port Blue, Twilight City, Glacier Coast, and Southern Island. The Japanese version of the game has some different names. Sunny Beach is Sandy Beach, Drake Lake became Milky Lake, Port Blue is Port Pirates, why I don't know, I never saw any pirates. Twilight City is Castle City, and Glacier Coast is in Japan simply Cool Wave. Secondly, so you know how when you finish a championship there's a little clip of your guy or girl at the podium, right? Well, first of all, you don't get to lift a trophy until you've cleared the Expert Championship. But what is also pretty tricky is to get 4th place. You can't just lose every race, because then you won't get enough points to get to the podium scene. Even if you get to Southern Island, the last stage, if you don't get at least 16 points by then on normal, you don't qualify for the podium scene, which is a little odd, but there it is. So to get 4th place, not only did I have to get the 16 points, which means winning some and losing some, I also had to protect the 4th place racer in the later races, so he got enough points to beat me. It was harder than I expected, actually. But I was indeed rewarded with a fun scene where the camera pans away from the podium to see your disappointed character fall to the ground and pound the sand like, "You maniacs! Damn you all to hell!" while the nice music still plays. Alright, now over to the information gathered from the interview. The developers interviewed were producer and god of gaming Shigeru Miyamoto, director Katsuya Eguchi, director Shinya Takahashi, programmer Keizo Ota, and sound effects man Hideaki Shimizu. I'm going to be referring to everything from a they perspective, so read the whole translation for more detailed context, please. The idea from the game came from seeing a SGI tech demo of stuff being dropped into water and watching the water ripple. Miyamoto loved that and wanted to make a game based on it. At first they thought it would be a water skiing game, but since the people might end up looking like dolls being dragged along, they skipped that idea and moved on to a boat racing game. But felt that wouldn't take full advantage of the water and how that could feel to the player. The water would just become another surface. Miyamoto formulated the idea of the miniature garden game, where people don't necessarily do what they're supposed to, but have fun anyway. None among the Wave Race 64 staff had actually ridden a jet ski in real life, so they thought of going to nearby Lake Biwa to ride. But in Japan you need a license, and although they tried to persuade the rental people to let them ride anyway, they failed, so only video research for them. They wanted to make the stages feel like they were from different countries, so they looked at travel pamphlets for reference, like the oceans of Tahiti and Okinawa. Furthermore, Port Blue is based on Tokyo Bay, and a hint to that is the Anzen Daiichi written here, typical Japan. And Twilight City is based on a resort city somewhere, although they said it ended up more resembling a casino. Because of how the waves act randomly, no 2 races are the same, and hence ghost data for the time attack mode was not possible. They experimented with having a seagull or the dolphin act as the ghost, but gave up on it in the end. They had data space left on the cartridge after completing most of the game, so they thought, why not add some voices to the game? And besides, the Nintendo 64 they found was well suited to speech, which was all done in software, there's no special chip or anything. The guy behind the main announcer voice is a DJ in real life. Well, that's all the time we have for today, folks. I don't know about you, but I found myself in the mood of playing some Wave Race. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm always in that mood. See ya!